Have you ever wanted Binding of Isaac, but sideways? Wait, no, not like that. There we go. Well, that's this game. Space Gladiators Escaping Tartarus is a fast-paced, side-scrolling early access roguelite with hand-drawn art reminiscent of Castle Crashers with a little bit of weirdness of Binding of Isaac. I mean, there's poop, so it must be like Binding of Isaac. A lot of people are also comparing it to Hollow Knight, but I haven't played that yet, so I have no comment. But in this game, you select one of several weird characters and enter a death maze to probably die horribly and start all over. You got Gladiator, you got a potato that swings ham, you got worm in underwear that makes clones of itself. It's pretty standard stuff, really. You do your usual roguelite stuff, going through rooms and killing everything, getting money, buying stuff, getting items, and killing bosses. You got the complete challenges to get items for future runs mechanic and the choose your own path on the map mechanic too, but there's a few more unique aspects. The big one is that every level culminates into an arena fight where you choose between 3 groups of enemies, possible traps, and a reward. This way you can go for the best item, the most money, or the easiest fight to survive through. The combat is pretty straightforward. Every character has a normal attack, an attack upward, and an attack downward while they're jumping. You also have 2 slots for an offensive ability and a defensive ability. Offensive abilities are like spears or laser guns or bouncing guys. Defensive abilities are usually shields or a way to recover health or gain armor, which is kind of like health, but you can't recover it once it's gone. These abilities run off an energy bar that can be recharged by hitting stuff. In addition to the ability slots, you also have an armor and doll slot that give additional effects. Every other item can be stacked, and oh, you're gonna need to stack them to fight the enemies that range from flies that do damage on contact to, hoop throw, never mind, moving on. Combat isn't all you'll be doing though. There's a pretty big emphasis on platforming with trap rooms that have minimal or no enemies at all and just provide you with a platforming challenge. Sometimes you don't even have to do the platforming part to get to the next room, but if you skip it, you won't get that sick loot. That loot includes a lot of stat boosts, which are all neatly laid out on the character screen. There's quite a few, but the game isn't cryptic about anything here. The 4 basic stats, health, strength, technology, and armor, all have abilities colored after them that scale with that stat. But there's a bunch of other stats like lifesteal, shop discount, and jump height, and these can interact with other items. Every character has different starting stats and thus is good at different things. The Hunter Babuk has no technology, so he probably won't be shooting any laser guns well, and Robbie is permanently stuck at 1 HP, so health scaling items might not be very good on him. As you're delving further through the game, you might come across some weird NPCs that provide different services should you want to take them. From switching your stats around to possibly stealing all your money, there's quite a few things that can pop up in the old question mark rooms. There's always a shop at the beginning of each level after the arena fight, so you never have to worry about not being able to buy things. You do have to worry about the shop selling something that you actually want to buy though. If you manage to get 3 arenas down, then you gotta fight the boss. If you beat the boss, you go to the next area, which there are 3 of right now, and then a final boss. If you die, you get experience on that character, which has a couple of upgrades, and then you start over. If you win, you unlock danger levels, which make aspects of the game harder, like more difficult arenas and more enemies. Oh, that's the game though. Now let's look at the good stuff. This game is smooth. The movement and the combat flow very nicely. The hand-drawn animations are dope, and it's got a solid aesthetic overall. I really love that things that hurt you on contact have a red outline around them so that you know that it's a bad touch. The game never really feels monotonous even though you're starting over a lot, probably due to the room variety. Apparently there's over 600 rooms right now and it shows. You get the same rooms sometimes, but not often enough to really memorize them. Except for this room full of hot dog bats, screw this room. There's also a nice variety in the question mark rooms, like you never know what you're gonna get. Another interesting thing is that you cannot go backwards on the map, only forwards or vertically. This keeps the game moving and doesn't let it turn into a backtrack quest. I dig it. The arenas are also pretty interesting because you usually can't say you got screwed over by RNG in them because you picked the fight. I've definitely been like, oh, all ranged enemies, but I really want that item. And then I die horribly and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have picked that one. I also like that the characters are all unique, but not just in their stats, but in their attack animations. Gladiator, Potato, and Butcher all have similar attack sets, but with different ranges and arcs. Robbie has this weird downward shot that doesn't seem like it's any good at first, but it's really good at hitting things slightly below him, and his up attack goes ridiculously far. Babook the Hunter hits people with a big stick to keep them away, but his attacks are all really thin, so you have to be precise. And then there's the Underworm. He's ranged, and he shoots at the worst angle conceived by man. It's okay though, he was pretty OP. Got pretty far with him. Each character also has a unique arena reward, like Butcher gets Energy Axe that gives him 1 energy back per attack. That's crazy. At the beginning of each run, you get a personality trait item that can influence the rest of the run, like extra coins for doing monster rooms but less coins for doing trap rooms, or more strength but less arena money. And if you don't like the one that spawned, you can always just restart in like 2 seconds and get a different one. All this stuff goes together to differentiate each run to a point I don't think I've experienced this year yet. And I've done a lot of early access roguelites. It's pretty good, unless... Dang it. If you aren't looking for a hard game, you best skip this. You can die real fast. It took me a few runs of dying on the first level with some of the characters to figure out how the heck you're supposed to play with them. This is also just a fast game in general, and towards the end it can get kind of chaotic and it's easy to lose track of what's happening. Some of my runs felt like I was just kind of mashing at the end, but I don't really know if that was the game's fault. Maybe I just had a god run because that's the only thing my terribleness could make it to the end with. Some of it was strategic mashing though. Yeah, that can be a thing, right? Since I wrote this, the dev actually addressed this in a recent update, so he knows what's going on. If you're looking for a bunch of crazy over-the-top abilities to go off at once, then this probably isn't it either. Most of the game is jump and smack, since you can only have 1 offensive ability, but hey, maybe there's gonna be a character in the future that can have 2. I just don't have any real problems with this game. Conclusion slide, please. So far this year, I've wholeheartedly recommended Curse of the Dead Gods and Scourgebringer, despite both of them being kind of short. I think this one beats both of them out. The dev emailed me a code for this game and I was like, oh great, another early access roguelite right after I said I wanted to take a break from those. Oh well, I guess I'll give it a try. And boom, I was hooked. Now here's the video. Hopefully I don't sound too much like a shill. If this game was bad, I'd be hitting it with the not good or just not bothering in the first place. But here we are. You can get Space Gladiators for $10 or your regional equivalent. I've got 23 hours out of it so far. If you like side-scrolling roguelites, buy this. I don't think you'll regret it. This game only has 24 reviews on Steam right now. 24. That's crazy. We gotta pump those numbers up. If you like this video, smash like. If you want more reviews, subscribe. That's all I got. 2 Lainz, out.